Welcome back. How you doing? Happy Monday to you. I'm sorry if that was the first time anybody's told you that it's Monday. It is Monday. That sucks, but it's a good thing that you're here. Welcome back to the show. My name's Ronnie. I'll be your host. Do me a favor, tap on the like button, drop a comment in the chat. We're back. What's going on? Yeah, whatever. Kentucky here. What's going on? How are you? What's up, Pew Pew? How are you? Germany, welcome in. Marion, Ohio. Where are you guys chiming in from? We are global. Texas Oblast. Denver, welcome in. How are you? Vancouver. Hi from Croatia. Hello from Croatia. Somebody said Robotine. I still don't really know how to pronounce it. But welcome back. How are you? It's good to see you. I hope you had a good weekend. We got some interesting footage to look at tonight. It might end up being a quick show. You know, I don't have the normal kind of laundry list. I mean, normally I'm just weeding and wading through footage. And, you know, I did have a lot more. Excuse me. I did have a lot more, but you know, ultimately, it was just more artillery, more drones. So we will see a little bit of footage from Myanmar tonight. We're going to hopefully, you know, subject to time, maybe check in on some of the footage coming out of the Nagorno-Karabakh. I've been talking about wanting to show some of that footage. But the more likely scenario is that we'll just have a quick show, right? Let everybody get back to their families, back to, you know, whatever it is that you like to do on a Monday evening. Anyway, the most important thing I wanted to talk about tonight, though, is that Abrams have arrived. Abrams have arrived in Ukraine per the Ukrainian government, but only the first small batch. The first small batch being what's estimated to be somewhere around 10 total. 10 total Abrams out of a 31 total that is expected to arrive as an eventuality. I don't know when exactly that's going to be. The reason I wanted to bring that up isn't necessarily that we have footage of it, because again, we are footage focused. The things that we talk about, I like to be footage based, but I need to correct myself. Last week, I want to say it was Friday, I told you guys they were going to be M1A2s. Well, just to correct that, I think the original understanding was that they would be M1A2s, and one of the reasons that they got pushed much faster is that they're actually M1A1s. Now, it's a little bit earlier of a model, but if I understand correctly, and based on the statements of the U.S. officials, I hate using terms like that, I just don't remember who exactly it was. From a capability perspective, they will be pretty close to M1A2s. They still won't have some of the more advanced capabilities. It's still somewhere down the line of, you know, like an export model, if you will. But that was one of the ways that the U.S. was able to get those over to Ukraine faster. There are a lot of people that are waiting to see, you know, the Abrams in the area of operations for which it was designed. I'll be the first to say that that's something that interests me very much, but it's also important to note that it's only at maximum 31 Abrams. Not really any more different than the Leopards that are arriving. It's ultimately just an increase in combat power to get Ukraine closer and closer to parity with their adversary, with Russia. Now, something that is a little bit of note, and I do have video for you, is they will be arriving with armored-piercing, fin-stabilized, discarding sabot ammunition, specifically tracer. Here's a video of what that is. There is no sound to this, so don't try and be dorking with your volume. There's just no sound right now. Now, for those that aren't aware, the armor-piercing, fin-stabilized, discarding sabot is a depleted uranium munition. Will that go through level 3 body armor? Only at certain angles. You know, you're probably going to be fine. Correct, princess. Now the Drive, you know, I'm a fan of theirs. I told you that I was. The Drive has a good article, has a series of good articles on the different capabilities, or at least what we know about the capabilities that are going to be provided in this Abrams. There was a lot of confusion surrounding one of the, biggest capabilities of the Abrams, which is its. Stop it. Which is its, speaking of DU, advanced armor package. Now, one of the official statements was that it will have, quote, advanced armor. It is not expected that that is going to be the DU armor type. And nobody really truly knows what that meant. It could be some form of explosive reactive armor, not certain. But the specific changes that they're making to the M1A1 before they provided them to Ukraine is still kind of up in the air. But 10 of those have arrived out of the total of 31 that should be there. Let's get right into some footage, some combat footage. We'll be starting in Ukraine, and we're going to start in Sevastopol, where just hours ago, air raid sirens started going off. Sevastopol is continuing to get targeted. Whether or not it's been hit yet, I'm not certain. So still very early in understanding what's happening right now over Sevastopol. Now, there's other footage coming out of Sevastopol, which is going to be coming up for you guys here now. Just different angles of air raid sirens, and I want to say this one includes anti-air batteries firing. Somebody blurred out their skyline here to keep folks from being able to geolocate it, though. I would presume that we just saw is anti-air. So, I would guess that more information is going to come out. There have been a couple strikes into the Sevastopol area since we were last here on Friday. Of course, the biggest discussion that we had on Friday was the targeting of the Black Sea Fleet headquarters. There's quite a bit of information starting to emerge about, who was possibly targeted in that. I don't think anything has really been confirmed except for by Ukraine. So it's not something that I think I'm ready to talk about until there's, kind of multi-source reporting on it, if you will. But as it stands right now, some pretty top-level names for Russia were claimed to have been killed in that strike on the Black Sea Fleet headquarters. And we saw a ton of footage from that on Friday. If you haven't seen Friday's stream, to check out that footage, including footage of the second of at least two Storm Shadow UK-supplied cruise missiles hitting that building. Go check that out. We're going to jump into Kherson. I'm going to start in probably Deep State. Let's start in the Deep State map. That way we can get our kind of daily dose of estimated forward line control. And we'll turn on fortified positions already. Excuse me. We're going to be starting actually on the Konka River tonight. Here. So the Konka here. It's going to be a Russian gunboat that gets just kind of chased down by an FPV drone with a PG-7 strapped to the bottom of it. Kind of Wile E. Coyote style. Here you go. I do not know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm just going to kind of move on, just kind of drive on. Wonder what one tank crew with a top shelf M1A2 could do. I'd recommend that you guys look up the story of the Beast in Mosul. It's an M1 Abrams, an export model M1 Abrams that effectively, retook Mosul all by itself with an Iraqi crew. the Beast tank. Give that a Google. We're going to skip quite a bit of footage. Again, a lot of artillery strikes. We'll go back to the map so I can show you generally where. But we're going to skip over quite a bit of footage. There were FPV drone strikes, all through Oleshki down here. More or less the same of what you just saw. I showed you that one because, it hit a boat. I thought that was interesting. But there were also, Russian fab strikes up here near Darivka. More fab strikes in Olhivka. I think I'm getting better. I'm either getting better or way worse with the pronunciations. One of those two things. But we, for the first time in quite some time, are going to be headed to Piatykhatky over in Zaporizhia. And actually, we're going to be headed to, I want to say, right here-ish, kind of, sort of. Tell you what, let's pull this up in Google Earth so I can give you an exact. We're going to see some Miklik action. Mine-clearing line charge from Ukraine. Nailed it. Sort of. Didn't really nail it. Well, close enough. Yeah. So we're going to see mine-clearing line charges being used. I want to say the truck's location is, down against this tree line. I might have these backwards, but once we pull up the video, you'll see what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, the truck's about here. That's what I thought. Now let's take a look at the footage. Coming up. Coming on up. Coming on up. There's that Miklik firing there. It's going to detonate here. So the original pin that we had is the detonation location, and the second pin is the truck, the vehicle, the Miklik. Continuing to show, when we do have new, and something that's notable is look out in the distance here. You're seeing impacts of probably Russian artillery, maybe. This specifically is Piatykhatky that we're looking at here. Zherebianki is going to be, off to the upper right of your screen, if I understand, if I'm orienting myself in the video correctly. Has the U.S. used this to clear something besides mines? Well, both Russia and Ukraine have used the Miklik or the UR-77 meteorite, the Soviet, copycat or analog. I don't know which one came first, chicken or the egg. They have both used those to clear out infantry positions. They've used them in the middle of cities, right, against, known enemy positions. So it's really just a long nope rope worth of explosives that's just going to, blow up and makes a big boom. We'll be moving from here over into the Verbove kind of direction, Novoprokopivka, that area. Let's head back to the map so we can take a look at that. Here. I want to see if there have been any, major changes. I will note that we have some pretty NSFW type stuff that we're going to see tonight. Some war is going to happen on the show tonight. And namely that we're going to see some footage of Ukrainians as they make their way into Novoprokopivka. Ultimately they were repelled. Russians did mount an offensive out or back towards Robotny. Russians did mount an offensive back the other direction, but they also were repelled. We're going to see some, discretion advised type footage from that as well. We'll end up seeing some medic work in a little bit as after all of this. So I'm kind of giving you a top to bottom discretion advised. And we're going to start with that Russian assault. This is going to take place all along this tree line that you see here. You'll see a couple fortified positions identified in the white. Video's coming up for you now. This is going to be probably the vehicles, the chariots that they rode up there on. We will be seeing Russian vehicles in this video. Under artillery from Ukraine. Impact, thank you for the $7, sir. Rampant, thank you for the 5. And we will see the bomb dongs. Yes, that's not a mispronunciation or a typo. Bomb dongs tonight. Again, this is all taking place on that tree line just to the south of Robotyne. Robotyna. I could say Novoprokopivka, but the other one, Robotyne. This is going to be Russian infantry in the trench, one of those trenches that was identified by the white lines that you saw on the map, underneath of Ukrainian artillery. Discretion advised, I want to say on this one. And it's either this one or the next one, so I'll just give you that blanket kind of statement there. Robotyna. Do you skip the E at the end? Robotyna. I think I'm nailing it now. All right. Excuse me, I called this artillery. Those are drones that are flying in. And this is Russian infantry in those trenches as they moved back towards Robotyna. Ronnie's having a piss. I'm actually not. We have been trying to pronounce Robotyna for like a month. And then we've got one more, not unlike that one. This one is, you know, giving you a discretion advised here. There will be a close-up at one point towards the end of the video, I want to say, but more Russian infantry as they attempted to mount an offensive back towards Robotyna. Here you are. We'll go back to Google Earth and I'll give you an exact location on this one. All of these locations are in the stream description for you guys, just like always. Chad, thank you for the 10. Thanks for what you do. Can you give me a birthday shout to my son, Jeremiah? He loves watching the show with me. Happy birthday, Jeremiah. You know, I'm gonna peel back the curtain for a second. And I was going to say something akin to, you know, not recommending that your kids watch the show, but to each their own. Do your thing. Thank you very much for the 10. That's D. Pickham out there. We're actually going to see an interesting video of D. Pickham in a little bit, right? We're going We're going to see D. Pickham actually land really smack dab right on top of a group of infantry. They're going to kind of just walk away from it here in a little bit. All right. Now let's bring it up. So we're going to have more. Actually, I told you I'd show you exactly where that took place. And we're going to stay in Google Earth because I want to show you where exactly this next one takes place before we watch it. And this next video is, once again, a war happens in it. But that took place just out here. So again, still along that same general line. We are going to be moving to this position here. Right along this, which is a concrete wall, and along this. Ukrainians made their way to at least this location, and I want to say we might have one more video. No, we don't. No, I'm thinking of Verbove. Ukrainians at least made their way this far. Now, that would be the northeast corner of Novoprokopivka. However, these Ukrainians are ambushed at close range by a lone Russian that comes along this southern wall, peeks around the corner, and ends up engaging two Ukrainians here, both of whom are focused to the west. Discretion's advised on this one. Very close range video here. It's likely that what we're seeing is the Russian being guided by this drone. So this goes back to what I've talked about before, that one of the true novelties that we're seeing here is almost the mission command function of the drone, almost as a scout, as a C2 from an intel perspective. Ukrainians are here. This is a Russian. My kid understands war because of this channel. It's not cool. Thank you for the 10, Ross. Mr. Ross. Mark. Cozy, thank you for the 2. So what you just saw is this Russian engaged both of those Ukrainians, one of whom was able to crawl back behind this wall. Now this Russian is going to, kind of make his way up towards that wall. He's going to essentially put a couple rounds into each of those Ukrainians as he does it. But as soon as he gets to the wall, you're going to see him unass that position pretty quickly. I'm wondering if there might be other Ukrainians along this wall on the other side. We just can't quite see them. All right. Let's bring it back up. More from Novoprokopivka. I don't have an exact location of where this takes place, though. This is going to be a Stugna-P, Ukrainian-developed anti-tank guided missile hitting a Russian tank of some kind, Russian armor of some kind. This is only reported to be in Novoprokopivka or in the general area. Just telling you now, I don't have a great location for it. Can't validate the location. And now we come back up. Cozy, thank you again for that too. Spend this $1.99 wisely. It's probably going to go towards the whiskey fund. Thank you very much for it. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for the 2. And Mark, thank you again for the 10. And Chad, thank you for the 10 as well. Let's head to just south of Novoprokopivka. We're going to see what real accuracy looks like. Right here. Come back out, show you where we are. Still along that kind of Tokmak front, if you will. You got Tokmak down here. A lot of discussion about Tokmak. But we're going to focus in right here. There's a big-ass tower right at that location. You can just barely kind of see it standing here. This is, Big Dong Tower. It's going to get just absolutely hammered by GMLRS alternative warhead. 180 some odd thousand tungsten steel balls smacking this thing around. Hell of a shot. Let's watch it again since you missed it. GMLRS is extremely accurate. That is precision. It's also notable that you're looking at a pretty wide area here. I wonder if there's a way that we can kind of just generally get an understanding of the radius that we're looking at here. You know what? Let's go back to the map. We'll just eyeball this. How much is that? How much is that spread? Stand by. So I would say, and we'll do this in meters. I would say something like this. 100 meters or so. 120, 130. 150 meters. Woof. Here on the show, we've seen plenty of aftermath photos. We've seen plenty of alternative warhead being used. And even when rounds don't impact, within 50 meters or so, we've seen footage of, I want to say, a couple grads, BM-21 grads that were hit, and it looked like it was just way off, and the operator of the grad just kind of keeled out of it. Terrifying. We're heading over to Verbove. See some footage near Verbove. Now we're going to see Russian filmed footage of a Ukrainian vehicle as it's leaving Verbove. So with some level of freedom of maneuver, but it is going to get hit on its way out. So it has been acknowledged by pro-Russian sources that Ukrainians have entered this far western side of Verbove. This video is kind of evidence of that. How long they are there and if they are still there, I can't answer. It's coming up now. So there is that far, this is the far western edge of Verbove, and you see that vehicle leaving. It's either going to hit a mine or it's going to get hit by an anti-tank guided missile. It's hit by something. Suboptimal. But we've watched 2 videos so far, which, outside of, just simply showing the footage to show the footage, it's also representative of the furthest forward advance for Ukraine. Now, again, just like I've talked about before, you have to then hold that ground. So Ukraine does continue to inch forward. But I still wouldn't call anything that you've seen over the last couple weeks, especially with the talk of the Surovikin line and the breach of the Surovikin line. There are too many that are calling that some sort of a breakthrough. Just for those that might be new, something to remember is we'll always have new folks that join the stream. This Surovikin line here is what's considered to be the first prepared defensive line. Some people will call kind of this line up here, line 0. Line 0 being kind of your forward line of troops prior to the counteroffensive beginning. And then you have the first prepared line here. There are too many that, don't truly understand the fundamentals of what a breakthrough looks like, that are calling this a breakthrough. This is a breach. Nothing more. Now, I've got more footage of somewhere near Verbove. Something that I've found, though, is even though it's listed as being near Verbove, it could be up here, right? It could be all the way up in this area, and they're still going to call it the, quote, Verbove direction. But what you're going to see is a martyr. One of the first documented, if I'm not mistaken, so correct me if I'm wrong, one of the first documented martyrs being hit. It's a Ukrainian vehicle provided to Ukraine by Germany. M-A-R-D-E-R, martyr. What month was Kherson liberated? I want to say that would be, it went well into November, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me. Feel free to correct me. Let's come back up. And more footage. This is going to be a Max Pro. A Ukrainian Max Pro. I said that to somebody one time, a Ukrainian Max Pro. Somebody said, well, you mean an American Max Pro? Like, no, if I give you a toothbrush, it's your toothbrush now. It's a Ukrainian Max Pro. This Ukrainian Max Pro specifically gets bopped by a Russian anti-tank guided missile. This is also reportedly somewhere near Verbove. I have seen a geolocation for this. I marked it to essentially come back to, and then I lost that geolocation. So coming from the right of your screen here, if you missed it, was that anti-tank guided missile. The crew does dismount, or at least some of the crew. I might be thinking of a different video. But inbound here, I am thinking of a different video. We'll get to that. That one's listed. We'll get to that one in a bit. Cornet? Possibly. Not certain. We're moving already on the map. I told you tonight might be kind of quick. So we're moving already on the map. And we're going to head over to Donetsk. I'm going to take you to Google Earth. We're going to talk about this one for a second. Stand by. Now, rail in contested airspace is a critical capability. You have to move a lot of equipment around the entirety of Ukraine, if you are Ukraine. And the same applies for Russia, because, again, it's contested airspace. Well, there's a train, a Ukrainian train, that's parked essentially here, which is an end-of-the-line kind of parking spot. Russia targeted that with Krasnopol, what was reported to be Krasnopol. I can't validate that that's what it was, but it was hit with a lot of equipment on it. The second time, or, I don't know, maybe 10th time watching this through, just thinking about Krasnopol. Krasnopol's, that's much bigger than Krasnopol. You're probably looking at a fab maybe 1,500 on that. But that's a big boom. That's a big boom. I saw comments saying, you know, it missed. Didn't even hit it square. Yeah, that's... I would say that just about everything from here forward, just about everything from probably this orange mark forward is toast. Everything back here, going to spend a little bit of time in the shop. Love how they missed. This thing's smoking all the way down here. Something to note, though, something that I haven't seen talked about very much, and we're going to start this, I'll rewind a little bit, is you got a ton of dismounts down here. A ton of, you know, what we would call squirters. All down here at the back end of the train. Keep your eyes focused on that area. It's a lot of people. All right, let's come back up. This next one was a late edition. I don't think I have this in the stream description for you guys. I'm pretty sure I added this while I was sitting here preparing the stream. I thought this one was just interesting because I haven't seen any Stinger footage in a little while. So this is going to be supposedly near Bakhmut. Don't have a geolocation for it. But it's reportedly the 3rd Brigade, 3rd Assault Brigade, firing a Stinger at a Russian drone. Sounds like they hit it, and it looks like they hit it. Why you no play sound? There should be sound to this one. For some reason, I don't hear it, but not sure what's going on there. Man shooting cloud? No, you hit something. That's what this black smoke is here. You know? Just call it what it is. Don't be an idiot. He hit something. All right, coming back up. Lucky Charms, thank you very much for the 5. Today's my 33rd birthday. Well, happy birthday to you. But I had to put my dog down this morning. What a roller coaster of emotions that just was. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Your stream is helping me take my mind off of things for an hour or so. Thanks, Ronnie. Thanks for being here, dude. I'm sorry to hear about your dog. It sucks. It's the best thing that I can say. Little Spree, thank you for the 40. Appreciate all the work you and the Funker gents do. I hope you all had a good Monday and the rest of the week goes the same. Yeah, some of the days suck, but the grand scheme's all good. You know, always forward. Rowan, thank you for the 10. Hey, Ronnie, I'm late again. Shame on you. Here's my late fee, and thanks to you. The stream's free, bro. Thanks to you and the Funker team for keeping me up to speed from the UK. Welcome in from the UK, sir. All right. We're moving to somewhere in Crimea. This is a discretion advised video. War happened, and this is Ukrainian medics trying to reverse the causes, or well, trying to reverse what happens in war. Specifically, a very serious injury to a Ukrainian, head injury specifically following artillery. I'm going to walk you through some of the things. Will posted this one for us. Will is an EMT, trained, you know, all that. And he provided a little bit of additional context and fidelity on what exactly she was administering and why she was doing it, which I'll now try to relay to you. Coming up for you now, this is somewhere in Crimea. Discretion's advised on it. It's a pretty rough injury.
Я візьму зі мною. Далі. Давай, заходь звідти, як ти зараз.
Ближче туди, ближче.
So there is audio kind of mixed in with music here, but I'm almost positive that we'll end up with a copyright problem. So I'm gonna kill that for now. So the tranexamic acid, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, that helps with any clotting. So it kind of accelerates clotting. And that would prevent nausea and vomiting. So something that you'll notice here in a minute is his airway is still clear. And, you know, if he does end up getting nauseous and start vomiting, that's going to obstruct that. That's one of the best things he has going for him right now is a clear airway. You can see the labored breathing, but still breathing. Why would you get nausea? A shock. It's a symptom of shock. I'm no EMT, but even I've had quite a few concussions. So even with those, you know, the shock of that, I've had broken, you know, bones broken nearly in half. That made me nauseous and throw up. Why don't we see more chopper evacuation? Yeah, something like dust off, right? That's something that we talked about before. I'll give you guys a second to read through that. About an hour and 20 minutes to get to the field hospital. So something that was available, you know, at almost any given time for the United States in the global war on terror, for example, was dust off. You know, given air superiority, we were able to get a bird on the ground, load a casualty, and get them back to the next level triage immediately. In contested airspace, that isn't necessarily a capability that you're always going to have. And there was a journal that was done by GSMSG. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but GSMSG, Global Surgical and Medical Support Group, have been in Ukraine since March of 2022. They actively do field care, on the ground at forward locations. And one of in that article, in that journal specifically, talked about the differentiation that you have in this war versus what we were used to, as in the collective, for the last 20 years plus in the global war on terror. You're just not always going to have that. So the short answer is you're in contested airspace, so flying a bird in, a precious asset, for one casualty is risk to reward there, right? If you look at it very objectively. And that's the easiest way to answer that, I think. All right. We're going to be already jumping into our general Ukraine section. So most of these videos that you guys saw, I had a exact geolocation for them. For these ones, I don't. Now, going back to Friday's stream, there was a very interesting conversation that we were having about why don't Ukraine or Russia use decoys? And I said, well, who's to say they don't? If you're seeing the decoys, then that kind of removes that as a capability, doesn't it? Well, a Ukrainian drone, found a bunch of inflatables of Russia's. These are inflatable tanks somewhere in Donetsk. Anything on Odessa and the hotel strike? So all I've seen so far are photos, given that I try to focus as intently as possible on video. I haven't yet seen video of that for us to show. But these are inflatables, and it might be funny. It might be, comical to look at, but it is absolutely what you should be doing right now. So Ukraine has decoys that they use as well. And this is ultimately a function of information warfare, right? It is more deception oriented. If you want to look back at a historical example of this being extremely effective, look back at the 23rd Special Troops in World War II, the Ghost Army, and some of the operations that they put on. And some of those operations absolutely set the standard for deceptive capabilities that we're still seeing and using today, right? Everything from using speakers to play the sound of entire battalions and divisions to inflatable armies that just kind of show up out of nowhere and make your adversary pause and say, wait a second, what is that? Ukraine uses decoys for the HIMARS. Russia's using inflatables. We've seen the wacky wavy inflatable air defense system. And we laughed at that. But here's why you laugh. You laugh when it gets burned or when you burn it yourself. But from a capability perspective, you should absolutely be doing that. Absolutely. Now, in the instance of the wacky wavy inflatable air defense system, and I'm thinking of that thing at the car dealership, that's what it looked like on an interview that a Russian was giving to a Russian media. Behind him was a wavy air defense thing, and I just lost it because, that's when it doesn't matter if you're using it anymore. It's more than likely that all of these inflatables are now gone at this point. All right. This next one's interesting that we're going to pull up here. We're going to see Deep Pick'em. I talked about this earlier. Don't have a location for it. But one of the things that happens is, a particular system or a capability gets, you get wrapped around the capabilities of it on paper. And then when when you start using it, you begin to understand that, not everything's a silver bullet. Well, Deep Pick'em also is not a silver bullet. It can be devastating, but it's still not anything more than just a bunch of submunitions. This is Deep Pick'em being used against a cluster of Russians. That cluster of Russians is right here. Dual purpose improved conventional munition. These are cluster munitions. This cluster of Russians is right here, right in the firing area of, I want to say, 2 or 3 of those submunitions, M42 or M46. And, they just kind of run away. just kind of just fuck off that way, you know. Now, I see that comment there. Looks like they all run away unscathed. Probably very not the case. You know, both M42 and M46 are designed with primary fragmentation in mind on the shells. It's, you know, very likely that they have fragmentation wounds of some kind. Just, you know, possibly not lethal. One of them just fell down right there. But I'm willing to bet there's some pissed pants. You know, maybe some brown pants going on. Bunch of frag hits. Yeah, more than likely. All right. Let's bring it up. Now, I have two versions of this video. I kind of want to show the longer one. So I need to go to the website and grab that. I copied down the shorter one, but I kind of want the whole long one. And give me a second to find it here. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Uninvited guests are not good, you know, especially when it's a bomb drone. This is a Ukrainian drone hunting around for a little while. It spends, you know, a long time in the air, and eventually it's going to find an open doorway. I would assume that this is somewhere in Crimea or in the east of Ukraine, just based on the trees and the terrain. So this thing's going to kind of poke around for a little bit. Canvas the area. Now, I saw an interesting take from somebody on this one. Somebody, you know, posited something akin to, you know, air superiority, and this essentially removing the capability of the F-35. Drones are not an air superiority asset. I'd like to say that as out loud as possible. Throw a stick at it. Oh, man. That one was one of my favorites. You know, we have... There are always going to be certain videos that kind of stick out, you know. And drone versus stick will always be one of them. Another one that sticks out to me is the, you know, the little PFM-1 butterfly anti-personnel mines. In the early war, they were hitting them with sticks and tires and stuff. Scary stuff. All right. War happens in this next one. You know, discretion's advised on it. So we've seen footage from really all angles and perspectives of what happens. You're always most vulnerable getting out of or getting into a vehicle, right? Whether it's in a self-defense situation or in a combat situation. Now, Ukrainian Marines, somewhere in Ukraine, I don't have a great location for this. Again, this is one of the instances where I do think there is a location for it, but I didn't record it. I couldn't find it again. Ukrainian Marines conducting a Kazakhstan operation end up getting hit, but do drive away. Here you are. So even if it's limping, it's still trying to get out of there. All right. Coming back up. I need to check in on the support, and thank you for it. Love the stream, but the cup is always in focus instead of you. Bro, I've tried. Outside of running a manual focus, which I will continuously forget to... You've commented that, I think, on every video. We're sticking with it. This is what we got. Thank you very much for 100 CZK. Not familiar with that, but thank you very much for being here and appreciate your generosity, sir. Flight level 180, thank you for the 5. OI Buff Aircrew, appreciating your work. Off Hot Thunder Winchester Militan. Thanks for being here very much, and thank you for the 5. A couple more here. What's a bomb dong, Ronnie? I don't know, but let's talk about something for a second, because here. I'm going to keep the music off for this. So I didn't even call this a bomb dong. When I'll talk about what it is in a second. I just want to explain why I'm calling it a bomb dong. When I was going to create tonight's thumbnail, I was like, you know what photo do I want to use? You know, one, I try to use one that we have on the site. And either Josh or Will, I don't know which one of them, just labeled this photo that you see in the thumbnail, bomb dong. No. Dong. I don't remember. It was something bomb dong. Something like that. What you're looking at here is Ukraine's newest drone system, right? Now, this is an underwater sea drone that supposedly and reportedly has 1,000-kilometer range. 1,000 kilometers is really far, especially when it comes to a torpedo-like capability. I want to give you a frame of reference. Oh, it costs about $400,000. So that bomb dong drone costs about $400,000. It's expensive for a drone. Here's the thing. The U.S. Navy's most current torpedo, the Mark 48, costs like $5.3 million. And the Mark 48 requires like a whole ass submarine to fire. For this, for the bomb dong, it has a name. I just don't remember what it was. All you really need is a teenager with Call of Duty experience. And it has 1,000-kilometer range. And I am positive that the Department of Defense is absolutely pissed with whoever they get their torpedoes from. It's also notable, the Mark 48 torpedo only has like a 31-mile range at max distance. And I mean, that's like perfect conditions. Perfect conditions. And that's considered to be our most capable ship killer. Outside of, there's a quick sync. There's a quick sync system, which is like a JDAM ER that's been, kind of refitted to bridge the gap between a sub-delivered torpedo and an air anti-ship capability. Bomb dong. $400,000 drone. Anyway. Thought that was interesting. How much? Boom. So there are actually a couple gaps that we have in this. One, I don't know how deep it goes. I don't know what the payload is like on it. Now, from what we understand is there'll be multiple types of this. There'll be an attack version, a transport version, and then one more version. A recon version. 6 meters long, about a meter wide. I got more footage of it here. Stand by. So this is nighttime footage of it. This is all on the website. You guys can go check this out. But the exact payload of it, I'm not certain. I'm sure it's, not $5 million worth of a payload. It's just music playing. I was hoping it was the sounds of the bomb dong. All right. Coming back up. We're already getting close to the end of the stream for tonight, guys. I got a couple more videos, though. We're not done. This one was really cool and interesting. I'm speaking of tech. The Avenger, an anti-air system that's on the back of a Humvee. I have yet to see, really video of the Avenger in action. Well, here you are. Don't know where this takes place, but this is an Avenger targeting successfully a Russian cruise missile. So that's the system firing. You see the Avenger going out, engaging the Russian cruise missile, and then, kind of farting around. I don't know, it's like a happy dance of some kind. I'm not certain. One more time on the engagement, though. You see the impact there. And you can see the target, kind of streaking across the sky. It's right here. I understand that you guys might have a little bit different of a view than I do based on YouTube, scaling and transcoding and all that bunch of nerd stuff. Successful intercept. Now, I don't remember the rockets that are inside. We talked about the Avenger when this was first announced for delivery to Ukraine. I'm willing to bet somebody in the chat is, tracking what the payload is in here. Stinger? Yeah. Okay. Stingers? Yeah. That makes sense. Couple more videos, though. We're still rolling. Oh, close the tab. We're back. Don't have a great location for this one. Drone footage. This is a Ukrainian drone chasing a Russian. Horrifying. Bring it up. And then I had, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you guys some footage, just a little bit of footage on the Nagorno-Karabakh. And I didn't put it into the stream description because I wasn't really certain exactly which bits of footage I wanted to show, because this isn't stuff, well, I guess it's best for those that might be new to the stream for me to kind of explain what each of the shows is supposed to be. So each of the shows is supposed to be any footage that we find since the last episode, since the last discussion of us coming together to review all the footage the Funker 530 team has found, some of which we are trying to get archived on the website. We've had this footage for a little while, the conflict in the Nagorno-Karabakh is one that is relatively new to me. It's a definitive gap for me. So I wouldn't say that I understand the players. I wouldn't say that I understand the ethnicities, the support structures very well. But I can at least tell you what context we have for certain pieces of footage. Now, again, this is stuff that's been on the website. If you want to check out more of it, head over there. But what we're going to see is GoPro footage. This is an Azeri platoon as they overrun an Armenian fortification. Coming up for you guys now. Don't know exactly where this takes place, though. Headphone warning.
İşte deme. Tezeden doldur. Çıkart sinke. İlerle. Gir.
wanted to show to you guys. Stand by. Talk amongst yourselves. Thank you very much for the $2, Christopher. God bless all those involved in this conflict. Thank you for the 2, sir. No, actually, there's 2 more. So this next one is an Azeri foot patrol. So this is the one that I was looking for. And it's a very short video. But I'm just going to show it to you. So this is filmed GoPro or maybe cell phone footage, I'm not certain, from an Azeri perspective. You are. Sorry, I just wanted to bump the quality a little bit. And I broke it. There we go.
Bak evinsine. Gözle bitir.
All right. Coming back up. And then one more. And then I have one more video, but one more from Azerbaijan. It's this one. Again, just trying to show you a little bit more of this. It's been going on for a while. I do want to say, and again, this is a gap for me. We've focused very intently on documenting as much of the war in Ukraine as possible. We are documenting this, but from a level of understanding perspective, it's a gap. I do believe that there has been a ceasefire at least announced. Now, what the status of that ceasefire is, I'm not certain. John, thank you for the 20. So we do have one more video to watch. That'll be the last video that I leave you with. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's kind of... Anyway. John, thank you for the 20. Warfare Tech in 2023 makes it so we can sit here with you and watch combat footage almost real time. In some cases, real time. You know what I watched the other day? I watched the assault on the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant that we watched live together. And wow, I was very ignorant, to pronunciations then. If you think my pronunciations are bad now, go back to that video. Anyway, what do you think the next step is in the evolution of effective, quote-unquote, warfare tech? It's scrolled away here. Always like getting your perspective. So what's been interesting to me is the removal of the human from the forward line. We saw that first with, Predator drone pilots. We're seeing that now, all the way down to the squad level. What's going to end up happening next, and this is really not the next thing from a tech perspective, but it's really the adoption of it, is the adoption of drones from a scout perspective. There's that narration of the 47th Brigade's scout that I did a little while back that gave some insight on how the U.S. was still really relying on, I wouldn't call them antiquated, I would call them more foundational, the basics. They're very necessary. It's kind of like knowing how to shoot with iron sights. You still need to know how to be a scout. But I think what we're going to see next is a wider adoption of the economies of scale that come along, and the economies of scale that come along with drones, right? Less from a dropped munitions perspective, though, and more from, everything from C2 to just general situational awareness. The West has not really truly dove as far as Ukraine has, and Ukraine has done so more out of a condition of necessity, I think, than anything else. It's a rapid and drastic increase in capability with a very minimal, in a relative sense, investment monetarily. So I can see that getting doctrinalized in the West. Everything all the way down to the squad level with your smaller Mavics, to at the platoon level, the larger 6, 7, 8 propeller, bigger platforms with maybe munition type capabilities, where your weapons platoons and heavy weapons squads, they're just going to look a lot different with forward capabilities that remove the threat to the infantryman or to the human itself. Where it gets weird for me is how far down that path do you go with autonomy until ultimately you have an autonomous system engaging on your behalf, right? The NYPD just rolled out this dorky looking bot, right? You've got the weird looking robots coming out of like the Tesla robot stuff. Here's the thing. Shoot it in the joints or the hydraulics. That's going to be where it's weakest. That's what you need to know. But I think doctrinalization and adoption of autonomous systems, and I don't just mean like R&D stuff with your tip of the spear operators. I mean down at the most basic infantryman level, even beyond your 82nds and 101sts that get the newest of the tech. I'm talking, across the force. And I think it's going to be pretty rapid based on the lessons learned from Ukraine. That's what I would say. Thank you very much for the 20. Calico Jack, thank you for the 19 months. Guys, I only have one video left for you. We're not that early. It was an hour and 15-minute show tonight. We're normally an hour and a half, so I understand that I probably took up most of it a moment ago with just my opinion on something, and I'm not an expert. I try not to be. Actually, I do have one more video for you, and I appreciate you for being here. I think it's important for everybody to understand that under all circumstances, you should absolutely zig and not zag, since we can use one video to draw a conclusion across a myriad of possibilities. Based on this one video, I'm going to make the call that you should always zig, never zag. Otherwise, your buddy might accidentally shoot you. This takes place in Myanmar. Thanks for being here. We're going to jump over to the other stream and hang out for a little bit. We'll have some bourbon, kick back, have a few laughs. Good night. Thanks for being here. There will not be a stream on Friday. I'm going to be traveling. My buddy Cody is fighting in BKFC 51, and I'm going to be there for him. He is also my coach, and I'm super proud of him and super excited to see him fight bare knuckle this Friday night. Hope you guys watch. It's going to be fun. But good night. We can talk more about that over there. Always zig. Based on this one video that we can absolutely make a call across everything. See, I told you, he zigged. No, he zagged. So based on this video, if you zag, you are always going to get hit, so you need to zig. One more time. Does Buddy pop him? Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's not funny. It's... Good night. Don't zag. I guess.